So if you've had issues with the Wyrdknight in Act 1, here's a build to easily kill him in Act 1. Basically, all you need is the spell Winter Crown's Wrath, which shoots 5 projectiles on a light cast, and the Blood Ring, which says that each hit applies bleed. Everything above that is bonus and just makes this faster, but what is extremely helpful is the Volker Berserker Totem gotten from the Berserkers in Act 1, and the Amulet of the Waning Moon, which will both increase your critical chance. Now, why do we want increased critical chance? If we go to our character screen and to our attributes, first of all, we need 6 spirituality to equip the spell, and the rest can go into perception, however much you have to increase your spell crit. Now, if we go back to the skill tree, we will find in the spirituality skill tree our most important skill. Critical hit will restore 25% of its mana. And important, each pellet is a separate hit, so the more crit you have, the more mana will you get back. Once you have that, what's also helpful is Tiresome Weave, that your crits will reduce the stamina of the enemies, and then you can stagger them. And in the perception tree, we have the critical hits. Basic critical hit chance is always nice to have. But most important, the critical cascade, because this will increase your critical hit chance by effectively 20% for a single point. And you also want critical hits have 50% chance to apply bleed. Last but not least, we have the practicality tree. Enemies with status effects take more damage is nice to have, and you can put more points into that later. And debuffs deal 75% more damage. We also have our King's Soul, with the dealing damage has a small chance to create a weird essence. And with that, we can now start with the knight. That worked well. Now, before you engage him, you will want to... There he is. You will want to quickly have a look in your inventory, in your back, and in your potions, and see if you have any utility potions, like I have this 20% crit chance and this movement speed. Now, you don't want to fight him in like this area where you can dodge. Come on, out of there. Now, when you're near to it, oh damn it, now I deactivated the King's Soul, that's bad. Usually you would want to stack a couple hundred stacks during a single King's Soul. But let's see if I can get another one. Just always go around him. And as you can see, I'm producing King's Soul charges already. And now he's stunned, because we are draining his stamina a lot with all of our stuff that we are doing. And now a dodge, and now I have the King's Soul, so I can finally do some stacks. And I did, in fact, ran out of mana, so let me quickly chuck 2 or 3 mana potions to have that back. As you can see, the bleed stacks are going up quite quickly, and he's stunned again. And now, just to play it safe, we can now go a little bit further and just use spells to do his range, and easy as that, he's down. Little side note, a single point of endurance goes a long way. As you can see, I took a single strike there and I barely survived. That's because I had a single point of endurance, so maybe take that. Now, if you want to transition this build into a late game build that can kill enemies in seconds, then you will need some more items and some more skills. So first of all, for the items, let's quickly have a look at our character. Halo of the Hollow Sun is a second act item, and it drops at the same enemy as the Boots of the Hollow Sun. And both, the first of them makes your critical hits also apply bleed, so this is a lot more bleed stacks. And the second item converts your bleed stacks into a movement speed modifier, which is very handy because when we go back to our skill trees, we can go to the spirituality and then the buff skill tree, and here we have power and swiftness. Movement speed multiplier increases spell power by the same amount, so now your spells will suddenly deal a lot of damage. Other helpful skills, we already had the Tiresome Weave before, just max this out, and also put 1 point into Impactful Spellcaster. I'm not really sure if it's necessary, but I noticed a lot more stuns. It might just be biased though, so. Also, Arcane Mark is handy because critical hits will make enemies take 30% more damage. And on 30% more damage, we'll go to Perception and have go for the eyes. Oh no, sorry, that's 40% crit damage. Obviously also good. We have here critical. Oh wait, where is it? Am I blind? Sworn there was a skill here that did the same. But then we go to statuses. Skill tree. Perception, no, practicality statuses. Here we have, first of all, debuffs deal to 75% more damage. And again, if an enemy has a status active, 30% more damage. Then we go to strengths. Here we have the executioner. Staggered enemies take 60% more damage. And yeah, that's pretty much all of the core skills that you want to take to make the bleed build work. And other than that, you just need crit. Don't forget you get a lot of crit from your talents that don't factor in, so you don't need 100% crit at your attributes, and just take, yeah, whatever attributes you need. For the Archdruid armor, a high endurance and spirituality is nice. Other than that, you don't really need either. Just put any spare points into perception, and once you have that, you can then kill late game enemies quite easily. And that's the wrong spell. And as you can see, the bleed stacks just stack really, really fast. As a little side note, in Act 2 you'll get another spell, Merlin's Sorn. And Merlin's Sorn is quite handy if you want to kill enemies at more range, as Wintercross Wrath is a very melee-oriented spell, and especially weaker enemies can die to a single salvo of the hardcast Merlin's Sorn. Not finding any enemies right now, but just to demonstrate the spell, you're shooting 14 seeking missiles when you charge up the spell, so that's basically a dead enemy usually, except they're immune to bleed, then you might need 2 or 3 salvos.